Guys, Massive here, back to do another video, and this is fresh off the release of the Ultimate Collection released on Steam. Now, I'm going to give you my personal take on this. I don't quite understand the hype with the Ultimate Collection released on Steam. This product has been out for over a decade at this point. It's nice to see that there are more players interested in playing Command & Conquer again, but it's a bit weird, right, how Steam, all of a sudden there's a uptick in activity due to it being on Steam, or whatever. I had a conversation with Technique, and he said it could be to do with the Steam Deck, which actually kind of made sense because these handheld Windows gaming platforms are actually gaining steam at the moment. You know, no pun intended, but I can see that being pretty interesting when it comes to RTS games with the trackpads. I wouldn't play it for multiplayer, certainly. You get bashed, but maybe Flame Dream and that Xbox Pro would be good with that controller. Nice to see, though, that the games are receiving some attention from people around the world. A little bit unfortunate was seeing the DRM issues. I saw that they patched all the C&C games with Steam DRM, and then a couple of days later had to admit to the fact that it broke all the mods in certain games. Red Alert 2 and Generals comes to mind. I think the popular Gen tool could not work with the new Steam released game. And I'm getting PMs now from Cervantes, the C&C Online admin, about whether or not Command Post and the 4K on R21 will work. From my preliminary testing, it seems to work the same as before. The registry seems to be the same, but it's a bit of a headache, to be honest, for pre-existing installations. I suspect that the exe is not patched with the 4GB patch, so if you had Kane's Draft installed already and you got this update on Steam, it may have removed that 4GB patch, which means you may get the out of memory error more often. So I suggest you guys reinstall the 4K mod if you're having issues with out of memory. I may do an update for R21 soon to force some overwritten file to prevent this from happening. But yeah, back to this game. This game's pretty awesome. It's ZOCOM versus GDI. And I knew not much happened at the start, but just gonna take a little sip of water before the action really heats up here, because boy, I like ZOCOM mirrors. I like GDI versus GDI. I previously did not, because prior to the MCV fence nerf, where fences were stupidly broken, it was just 2 MCVs and a Marv every game. That's all GDI mirrors were. Firehawks, 2 MCV and a Marv. But since MCVs and buildings can be destroyed now with tier 2 units, the metagame has somewhat shifted to this tier 2 spam. I'm going to take the defensive tower. In R21, these defensive towers gain a little bit more attack vision. Before you had to force fire enemy units to get that full range. Now the turret will just auto target units by itself at maximum range. The key to GI mirrors like this is to build everything. Just build everything, guys. If you see you're lacking infantry, build infantry. If you see you've not got enough tanks, build some tanks. I've got APCs and missiles, both of which don't have much armor. The reason I'm building APCs and rockets is to counter the impending hammerhead threat. It actually deters the hammerheads from being built, and at that point I'm safe to go for tank spam. I can't go immediately into tanks because air transitions are very powerful from GDIs, especially Orcas, very effective. No one gets hardpoints, but hardpoint Orcas can kill a total of 6 harvesters, which is crazy. Gonna summon a Surveyor to my expansion. Those cost $1,400 in this community patch, plus there's no longer that stupid delay when it just before it spawns out of the MCV. It immediately comes out, like you see there. It just comes right out. Hammerhead's out here, so Senna just going for the tried and true. I myself opting not for hammerheads, but instead for ZOCOM orcas. I consider ZOCOM orcas to be the backbone of a ZOCOM tier 2 army. It provides you with that DPS against targets such as juggernauts. It's really only the juggernauts that I have to be concerned about. Now, stats wise, ZOCOM infantry with Tiberium field suits are exactly the same as the composite armor infantry of GDI. The only difference is you get the immunity to Tiberium damage. It says in the description it takes less damage from Tiberium based attacks, but that is not true. It only provides you with TIB immunity over Tiberium fields, but I can in the future give it some resistance to Tiberium based damage. So what would that mean? Well, hard to say, because Reaper 17 Shard Walkers, they deal Tiberium damage somewhat. It's gun damage, but it's a Tiberium Shard. But if I nerf them versus ZOCOM Inf, then Reaper 17 would have an even tougher time versus infantry. So for the sake of balance, it's not probably a good idea. Like making the Marv vulnerable to a Catalyst missile. Same logic applies there. So I've got this multi-pronged attack. Preds, APCs, Pitbulls, Missiles, ZOCOM Orcas, Missile Squads, Riflemans. The only thing I'm missing here is a couple of Shadow Tanks. Would be very good if my opponent's spamming tier 1 like he's doing here. Steel Talons struggle versus infantry mixed in with aircraft. The Wolverine is the sole real anti-infantry unit for Steel Talons. The Hammerhead counts as well, but they're often rendered obsolete by these APCs upgraded with AP ammo. And I've got these buildings garrisoned in the middle with missile squads. I'm utilizing all the assets on the map. There's a slingshot in there as well, getting some damage in from the rear. It has more range than the APC, so I can avoid taking damage from those enemy Titans back there. And with the EMP Grenadiers researched for me, I'm going to sweep in here and use my EMP grenades. And the EMP control center, which I have been defending in this location, will also be useful. That slingshot still taking out units, and the ZOCOM Orcas will return back to base. What I can do here at this point is summon in a combat support airfield, and the purpose of this is to shorten the reload time of my ZOCOM Orcas. They don't have to go back all the way to base. In this community patch, you'll see that the radar on the combat support airfield animates, as well as it spawns a rifleman squad when destroyed. It has the same health as the regular airfield. The only difference is you can't laser fence it. Very, very good structure. $500, only takes 5 seconds to build, and it's worth it in situations like this. So those orcas are refilled, ready to go again. Hammerheads, Riflemen, and Wolverines will chase you back, and now I'm in some trouble here. There's not enough forces to defend my TIB expansion. I'm going to summon in some reinforcements. Those GDI airbornes are going to be very good. I'm going to summon them into the Tiberium. They won't take Tiberium damage, as mentioned. And it's going to be a tough hold this. But once those orcas reload on the front line, I'll be able to get another volley off, and that's going to be necessary to defend my base. I can build a GDI commando since I'm now in tier 3. Those can see for the Titans and the Wolverines, though you're not going to kill many Wolverines obviously with a GDI commando before getting completely shredded. Firehawks are now out, so I need to be very careful with these ZOCOM Orcas. What I can do is I can summon in a V-35 Ox on a Rifleman squad, and maybe bait the shots from those Firehawks before going in with the ZOCOM Orcas. I'm upgrading the tungsten shells instead of opting for Firehawks. ZOCOM Firehawks are amazing, but in this particular case here, I feel like it's better going for slingshots, so that if I run out of missiles for killing aircraft, the remaining hammerheads won't kill my infantry. Because I'm planning to go into zone raider spam, and I think that slingshots would do a better job than the alternative. Plus I'd have to first deal with the Firehawks. I don't have time to take air superiority and then support my zone raiders on the ground. So the slingshots make more sense in this situation. And then of course the zone raiders have that shoulder mounted missile launcher, which will give them the ability to shoot down enemy aircraft. But obviously with the amount of HP that zone raiders have, those hammerheads can be very lethal, so the trade will not be cost effective against the hammerheads. But at a pinch you can use the zone raiders to destroy venoms and hammerheads. Commando C4's the refinery, as mentioned in my 10 things you didn't know about Kane's draft video, and as mentioned there, the Commando takes out the Titan. But yeah, as mentioned in the video, I can C4 directly on top of buildings. I can just click the building with the jump jet cursor and it will immediately C4 upon landing. That force got cleaned up though. You have to admit, that was not a good trade for me. Commando killed a Titan and a refinery. Refinery which didn't have much use at that point, really. Unless he's only got one. Unless that was his one and only refinery on that field, which in that case, that's pretty good. Spamming zone raiders, because he's going to force out more hammerheads, and that's why I'm building the slingshots as well to deal with him. But both of us have more or less comparable eco, having strongly detect that blue Tiberium. Firehawks will scout this force of zone raiders. I need a slingshot here to deal with the impending threat of the hammerheads. I don't know how many hammerheads he has, but he needs at least 2 or 3 to deal with these zone raiders here. I can garrison foxholes with zone raiders. That was changed in 1.02, I believe. In vanilla you could. Probably would be OP if that was a thing. Marv is out. That's my... Well, a lot of players assume the Marv is like their only unit that's good for ZOCOM, that's ground-based, but that's not entirely true. Mav tanks are decent as well, and I've got one here to support these zone raiders. Against Wolverines, the Mav tank is going to be all that I need, and those mammoths will quickly take down Wolverines, even without the railgun upgrade. And my zone raiders will live to see another day. And since my MCB is now on the front line, I can build an armory on the front line and replenish the dead squad members of my zone raiders. It doesn't appear like I'm going to do that, but if I had the patience, I could do that here. Another Commando is out. I've got another attack force in the middle. A slingshot there as well for good measure. So just having these unit compositions is great, because you see that if it weren't for the slingshot, those 2 zone raider squads would have died. So the slingshot was able to defend my infantry, and this is exactly how I picture GDI mirrors to be. Like super intense, a lot of units utilized, and it's not just turtling and base camping. So we're seeing some of that from center here. In this case it's good for him, but on a well-designed map, sitting in your base is never a good idea. And this map here, you'll be punished because the opponent who is on the map will take the blue Tiberium, of which in this game it's growing back. Firehawk's going to be sweeping, and I'm going to use a supersonic airstrike on those. I take down 2 of them. If I need some quick funds, sending that Space Command uplink would not be a bad idea. Slingshot, I'm just waiting for these Titans and Wolverines to go away before I flank the Firehawk. I'm going to just camp this airfield and wait for that singular Firehawk to lift up. It will no doubt be going on anti-air loadout to hunt down my ZOCOM Orcas. So now we're seeing some strategy, and I'm going to take this blue Tiberium while I have control of this map. Now one thing I could do is harass his tip spikes. I'm starting to make the Firehawks. Now I have regained the air superiority. I don't have to kill the Firehawks first. So now my own Firehawks are going to be used against his hammerheads, and that's exactly what I intend in this point in time. Another 2 Wolverines going down there. The Mav tanks really are just there to kill the Wolverines and to support my zone raiders. Slingshots as well. I need to keep them back. Those are valuable assets for me. Tiberium getting harvested, but they'll be forced to go back, those harvesters. And now we see the hammerheads, but the EMP is still under my control, and that means another 3 dead hammerheads. And with only one Wolverine left, Senna is in deep trouble. For some reason, that Mav tank is still alive over there. Shockwave artillery comes in, but I'm going to use the jump jet support power ability on these Zone Raiders and escape it. Marv is not EMP'd, but I'm going to be forced to push it because the behemoths are shooting at me, and I see there's not much anti-infantry, so I'm going to capitalize on this and move in. Another Marv tank falls, but the behemoths seem to be getting away, and this Marv is just not catching up. And with 4 Marv tanks and 2 behemoths, this Marv is going to fall. It's just not enough DPS for me. Zone Raiders are trying to DPS down this Hammerhead, but they are taking huge losses in the process. I've got a rig to repair this Marv, but it's not going to be there in time, and this Marv will fall. So that assault did not work out for me. Senna retains one of the behemoths, and I'm going to lose my other strike force in the north. So Senna is pulling this game back. But I have gathered some of the blue Tiberium, so I'm not completely out of this just yet. I've also got 4 Hirehawks under my control. But when it comes to units on the ground, I am at a disadvantage. All Senna really needs at this point is some Hammerheads and some Wolverines. Maybe even MRTs or Grenadiers inside, and he can deal with my army. But for him, Hammerheads have been working out. Despite me having tungsten shells, those Hammerheads of his have been countering my Zone Raiders, which I was not expecting. I was expecting the missiles on the Zone Raiders as well as the slingshots to be enough, but he mixed in Mammoth tanks, which made the slingshots unable to engage the Hammerheads efficiently. In R21, the rig has better anti-air. It has a total of 400 damage now with the rockets. Before it was 200, so it's more than doubled. In fact, that's double. Yeah, that's literally double. 200 damage, for reference, is trash. That's like a single missile on a missile squad. And now I'm going to start a bombing campaign with these Firehawks. As mentioned prior, the spikes would be a good idea for me to take out, because with Senna not having any Tiberium left, his only source of income at this point would be coming from those Civ spikes. So that would be a good idea. But infrastructure is also a good thing to destroy. Not having to deal with more behemoths being built is a good thing. I don't have any anti-infantry though. I've got a sonic emitter and some Zone Raiders, but Zone Raiders, if those riflemen start to open fire on them, will be destroyed quite quickly. I'm trying to build a commando, and this is going to be a very tight hold, especially with the Mav tanks and behemoths in the back. He should put the riflemen inside of the behemoths, I reckon, at this point. That would be very effective against these Zone Raiders. And I'm in some trouble here. I need something to deal with those Mav tanks. He's got 5 Mav tanks, and we use the EMP on the behemoths. And with the Firehawks overhead, I see that I can use them against the infantry. I'm in a desperate situation, but if I can thin out this rifleman spam, then the Zone Raiders can finish off the rest and then take out the Mammoths. But I'm targeting down the riflemen. They're not upgraded with composite armor. Steel Talons doesn't gain access to that. And despite me not having any artillery, it does not matter, because ZOCOM, while they don't have artillery, they benefit from other advantages. In my case, it is the superior infantry and the sonic technology. And I think that was an awesome demonstration of both ZOCOM and Steel Talons, the strengths and weaknesses of both. And it was a really tense game, and I actually enjoyed watching this back. So many units, so much action. It was crazy. And that was just a great demonstration of the type of gameplay I really like to see, and I would balance the game around that. And I'm happy that this is what games look like now. It's not just 2 MCVs, a Marv, and base crawling with sonic emitters. To me, that's boring to play and also boring to watch. That is not the content in the game. There's so much more content, like Zone Raiders, ZOCOM Orcas, Slingshots, APCs, Shatterers, Infantry. These units exist, and it's lovely to see them all be used in harmony together. Anyways, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. And stay tuned to my channel, because I've got more VODs coming. Anyways, this is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.